Welcome in, episode 179, What's Right with Nick Wright. And this episode of What's Right is brought to you by the McDonald's app. Ordering on the app is so easy. I love the McDonald's app. I can order my favorites anytime I want, have them delivered to me wherever and whenever. And it really is as easy as it sounds, so easy. I'm going to place an order right now. We did this last week as well. And here we go. Let me open it up. I'm going to turn this down on my phone so you guys can hear me doing it. Last week, I went with 2 breakfast burritos, hash browns, and orange juice. Today, I am going to go with, an old standard. Let's just go sausage McMuffin. Sausage biscuit, hash browns, orange juice, done and done. Delivered to Trentage, and hopefully we'll have that before the end of the show. See how easy that was? Now, focus on the show while McDonald's brings the food right to my door. One of these days, we'll have it delivered to Damonza in Los Angeles. That day, however, is not today. On today's show, our Week 3 gambling show, fresh off, winning week for that young man, winning week for this, not quite as young man, and I'm feeling great about the slate. I am in, Damonza, a picks competition with
are you in that thing
Phil
that you were in
Hellmuth.
last year? Oh, okay.
No, so it's different. So I'm in fact, let's just do this real quick because I meant to last week say why I was not giving out Survivor picks on this year's show. And the answer is because I'm in that Survivor contest I was in last year where, there's 20,000 people in it for $25 an entry. And first prize like $500,000. That's not the one I'm focused on, though. I'm in the Circa Survivor contest, Circa Casino in Vegas. It's $1,000 an entry. There are 10 entries maximum. It's a $9 million prize because there were 9,000 entries. Okay, 9,000 entries to start the year. Me and a buddy split the maximum entries, 10 entries. It's not like I have 5, he has 5. We have 10, and we kind of try to hive mind it. Through 2 weeks of the original 9,000 entries, there are 6,000 remaining. So already, a third of the field has been lopped off. Of our 10 entries, how many do you think are remaining?
I'd give it 9, 10 maybe.
Let's go 10. Let's go a full 10. So we've got a full 10 remaining, and we have used already on multiple entries Atlanta, Washington. In fact, let me just pull up because this part is public. Let me pull up who so far we have used in our entries. 3 on Tampa. 1 on Atlanta, 2 on Washington, 3 last week on the Giants in the comeback. We have great teams remaining. Now, the Circa Survivor contest is unique because Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day are their own weeks. So this Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's only 3 games each day. So you have to make sure you're planning out that you have good teams. So, for instance, just a little note. This week, the Chiefs and the Cowboys are both 12-plus point favorites. But a lot of people are going to want to save the Cowboys for Thanksgiving and the Chiefs for Christmas. So there's a lot of strategy. But that's why I'm not giving out Survivor picks this year, because we're talking real money, and people, once we get late in the year, I don't want people to be able to try to, game out where I'm going with it. So last week was great gambling week. We had the live bet that we talked about on Tuesday. So all that, we're going to get to our picks in the B block of the show. Damonza had a great teaser last week that won with relative ease. We'll get to all that. But before we get to that, we need to get to the stories of the day. Here's what missed the cut. Kareem Hunt returning to Cleveland. Jerry Jones telling Mike McCarthy to take a bow. And Jason Kelce jokingly confirms the rumors about his brother Travis dating Taylor Swift. it is not for the show, Damonza, but I broke that news. I guess it kind of is for the show to your mother this morning that Travis might be dating Taylor.
She loved it.
No, you nailed it, but she hated it.
I thought it might have been bad.
So
I said that so often.
No, you tried to. No, your honest instant reaction. You might know your mother better than me, and I mean you've known her for 10 years longer, so I suppose maybe it's fair. But she instantly got upset and wanted to come on the show to discuss it. But her feelings on it were so strong. And really, I was like, I'm not sure if it's safe for air. She was really upset about that. Maybe if she moderates a bit, we can discuss it on a future pod or if it becomes officially official. All right, let's get to the show. What are we starting with today?
All right, tonight the 49ers play the Giants with no Saquon. Your Super Bowl pick in the NFC, Dallas, plays the frisky Arizona Cardinals, and your Chiefs play the Bears. There are a bunch of other easy games this week. Indy and Baltimore, Buffalo at Washington come to mind. If the favorites always win, betting would be super easy. So teams are bound to get upset. Who do you think is going to be upset this weekend?
Okay, I don't think Dallas or the Chiefs are real upset candidates, but what I will say is and we're going to talk about the Bears later in this segment as you see the Justin Fields news. I actually think that the Fields press conference might bode well for his performance this week, but we'll talk about that after I answer this question. I don't, Buffalo at an undefeated Washington team that has played well, coming off a stirring victory, I don't consider that an easy game. I don't consider that like a walk in the park game. But that Washington defense is legit. Sam Howell, I got to give him credit, played great in the second half last week. And the other game that really jumps out to me is the Dolphins and the Broncos. So the Broncos have fallen apart in the second half of these games. But this is a kitchen sinks try to save the season game for Sean Payton. It's a maybe try to save his career as a starter game for Russell Wilson. I think that Dolphins defense can get got. And so that to me is an interesting spot with Miami and Denver. But the one I want to talk about is the game that's tonight, the 49ers and the Giants. That is a 10.5-point spread for a Giants team that because there's no Saquon, is just going to have to lean on your guy Daniel Jones against that Niners defense. And this is a real litmus test game. Not can he win because the Niners are better, but can he look competent? So I want to ask you, how confident are you that your guy Daniel Jones can just look baseline competent against this Niners defense?
Oh, I'm not super confident. I mean, they haven't played two super good teams. I mean, the Cowboys are obviously good, but hey, I think it's going to be a 14-point loss.
Wow.
Well,
Well, that might show up in Nick's picks, the Giants and Niners for tonight. So I don't want to spend too much more time on it because you and I might be on other sides of that one. But if I had to pick a trap, Indy Baltimore is too hard to discuss right now because we don't know if Anthony Richardson's playing. And I know he's a rookie, but he gives you more upside than Gardner does. Buffalo, Washington. And Lamar's been excellent. Or was excellent week 2. Buffalo, Washington, and Miami, Denver are two that I have a little, let's take an extra beat looking at those games. I like the fact that the producers didn't even include as a possible trap game Jacksonville and the Texans. They just know that I'm not going to give even the slightest consideration that the Jags could falter to the Texans. All right, next.
All right, it's week 2, and the Chicago Bears are already looking a hot mess. Their defensive coordinator resigned out of nowhere yesterday. Justin Fields blamed his robotic play on the coaching staff. You could probably cash your under 7.5 ticket already.
I forgot about that bet. What a great preseason wager by me. And you weren't on that show. You were not on the preseason. We did a recap.
You had gave
but
your
the
picks
initial
exactly.
show exactly. The initial show, my logic on the Bears was very simple. That if they went 7-10, it would be a great season. They'd be thrilled with, and the under would still hit. Right now, Bears fans would crawl across shattered glass if you told them they were going to go 7-10. They would be thrilled with that. I forgot I made that bet. What a great bet. Go ahead.
All right, so in your opinion, do you think Fields is redeemable, or is this all over?
So I do think he's redeemable. I think that Fields, I know you're going to laugh at me, but he was such a great high school and collegiate player, and he has so many great physical tools that I'm not going to just throw him out. I'm not going to just say, okay, the guy can't play. Now, there are some
you're doing like this
very
inverse thing right
signs.
now. You're doing
What do you
this
mean?
inverse thing. Like, oh, he was super good in high school and college. He sucks in the pros, so I got to give him a chance. But the guy who wasn't good in high school and college and does good in the NFL, I've got to see more. I need more data.
Yeah.
But I get it. I see it.
Yes.
I'm going to harp on that every
at
time it
least
comes up, by the way.
That's fine. That's totally fine. But at least I'm consistent. That logical tree flows.
Yes. No, it does. It does.
You're right. And obviously, right now, it's not as if because of Justin Fields' high school and collegiate resume, I am then going to say, I'm going to say he's better than Brock Purdy. Right now, he's not better than Brock Purdy. Do I, in my heart of hearts, if you were to tell me one of these two quarterbacks is going to one day be excellent, I would pick Fields. But if you were to ask me, one of these two quarterbacks is going to be washed out and a total bust. Purdy can't really be a bust, but you understand what I mean. Like not even be a starting quarterback in this league in 3 years. I would also pick Fields for that. Like to me, because of his play in the pros, we have to open up the possibility that he's not going to translate to this level. I also did not think he was trying to throw his coaches under the bus, even if he was throwing his coaches under the bus. The reality to me in Chicago is very simple. He is not being coached well, and he is playing terribly. And there are certain things that are flatly on coaching. There's a great clip going around the internet of the 3 plays that led to the goal line pick 6 that ended the Bucs game. The Chicago Bears called an inside screen to the running back on first down. It was unsuccessful, but Tampa was offsides. So now they have 1st and 5. They lined up in the same formation and called an inside screen to the running back. Again, same formation, same play. It was successful, but there was a holding penalty. So now they're in 1st down for a 3rd straight time. They ran an inside screen to the running back out of that formation for a 3rd play in a row, and it got picked. And Tampa's defense, after the game, was asked about it and said, yeah, it was really easy. They kept running the same play out of the same formation, so we knew what was coming. That's coaching. That is flatly coaching. Now, there's another clip of Fields in the first half having a clean pocket right around the red zone with a receiver running wide open into the end zone down the seam, and he just doesn't see it, drops his eyes and runs and takes a sack. So he has not been good. The coaching has not been good. What is true, in my opinion, is because they want him to develop as a pocket passer, they are leaning too far away from what makes him dangerous, which is the fact that he is as good of a running threat at the quarterback position as we have ever seen. And if they let that continue to be his fastball while making defenses afraid of that first, the passing game will be easier. But he also must be better in the passing game. Fact of the matter is, though, the Bears had the number 1 pick of the draft, traded it away because they believed in Fields. So they need to ride with Justin Fields, obviously, and try to figure this out. Now, what I will say is, now the thing with the D coordinator, it seems to be not football related. We don't know what happened there, and there was some misinformation going on the internet yesterday. I don't know what happened there. That obviously hurts them for this weekend, but it's not a football story, at least at the time being, as far as we know. Fields talking about getting more to what he's comfortable with, not thinking too much, not being robotic, I think potentially could help him this weekend for Kansas City. I think that as a Chiefs fan, I wanted them to change nothing. The fact that it looks like he might try to go back to just doing what's natural for him will give him more of a fighting chance. But that Chiefs defense is legit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty decent game. Got 2 quarterbacks struggling to throw the ball right now. Should even out.
All right. Okay. Next, let's just move on to the next topic.
Former Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy was passed up for a head coaching job in the last 2 seasons. Bieniemy is now in Washington, and Sam Howell is 2-0, and they just put up 35 in Denver. Meanwhile, the Chiefs lost their offensive coordinator, and they've struggled a bit. You've also thought Bieniemy deserved a head coaching job. Do you think it's time for the rest of the league to admit that they've missed out on Bieniemy? I hate saying his last name. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Here's what I find interesting. Now, he is getting some credit in the media for what Washington is doing, and he deserves it. Probably more credit than he's getting, but he deserves it. Sam Howell has looked good. And the hanging 35 on that Denver defense and an 18-point comeback and Howell dropping dimes, he deserves credit for that. I still think he's getting slighted a bit in this regard. Last year, when Josh Allen struggled, what the general media consensus was, he misses Brian Dable. The Chiefs' offense has not looked sharp through 2 weeks. No one has said, they miss Eric Bieniemy. So I still feel like he's only getting half the credit he deserves. Yeah. Now, am I concerned about the Chiefs because he's gone? Not in the long term. I think Reed and Mahomes and Matt Nagy's there. They'll figure it out. But I do think that it is at least somewhat related that Bieniemy's gone and the offense doesn't look as sharp. I also think that his best path to being a head coach, it's a weird spot because he kind of needs Washington to falter, because his best path might be they fire Ron Rivera and then hire, give him the promotion from within. But if they fire Ron Rivera, that's probably because Washington's offense has faltered, because I think that defense is legit. So he's in a weird spot. But through 2 weeks, and I made this point before, and I'll just make it again very quickly here. The fact that if we just want to go to the Mahomes era, right? Since Mahomes has been a starting quarterback in this league, the teams and their coordinators that have gotten head coaching jobs that were in the Super Bowl, right? So the Patriots had Flores and Josh McDaniel. They're the coordinators. They both get head coaching jobs eventually. The Rams, they had that year in the 2019 Super Bowl, or 2018 season, 2019, Brandon Staley's the DC. I think Zach Taylor's the OC. They both get head coaching jobs. The next year for the Chiefs, it's Eric Bieniemy and Steve Spagnuolo. Now, Spagnuolo already had been a head coach and got fired. He's a kind of a DC forever now. So set him aside. Bieniemy doesn't get it. The Niners defensive coordinator is Robert Saleh. He gets a head coaching job. The offensive coordinator is Mike McDaniel. He gets a head coaching job. His protege on the defensive side for the Niners, by the way, DeMeco Ryans, he also got a head coaching job. Tampa, their coordinators don't get head coaching jobs. They're black coordinators. The Chiefs are in that Super Bowl. Obviously, we talked about it there. The Rams, then, it's Kevin O'Connell. He gets a head coaching job. Cincinnati, Zach Taylor, who came from Sean McVay. He's now the Bengals head coach. And the Eagles, both their coordinators get head coaching jobs. So it did seem wildly unfair, and I stand by all of that, and I think the early returns are showing why Bieniemy should have gotten a longer look or a fairer look than he was getting. I understand it's early, but that's where I landed on it then, and that's where I land on it now. All right, next.
Well said. All right, on Tuesday, you teased that you wanted to talk about Deion and Colorado University. Since then, Deion said his kids will be returning to Colorado next season. If Shedur's season continues, why would he return to Colorado next year?
All right, so here's the deal on that. So Caleb is going to go number 1 in this draft no matter what. Shedeur is right now projected to be the 3rd or 4th quarterback taken. So everybody has Caleb number 1. Most people have Drake May number 2. Then there's debate. Bo Nix, who he plays this week. Shedeur. Ewers, the kid at Texas. Those are the other guys in the 3, 4, 5 range. The difference in money between being the number 1 pick of the draft, number 1 pick of this last year's draft, Bryce Young, got 5 years, $40 million, fully guaranteed. The number 10 pick got 5 years, $20 million, fully guaranteed. Shedeur has a real chance to be the number 1 pick of the following year's draft. You then add this fact part to it, which is a new element. Joel Klatt brought this up on the herd, and he's correct. How much money can Shedeur Sanders make next year at Colorado? Could he make $10 million in NIL money? That's what Joel said. I think he's right. I think Shedeur might actually be able to make more money coming back for college in his unique situation and then also improve his draft stock. So because of that, I think it is a unique spot. Now, it doesn't mean he definitely should come back and guys can get hurt and there are different things that could happen. But I don't think it's unreasonable to say you come back, give yourself a chance to be the number 1 pick and make the money anyway. Mm-hmm. And then also have a much larger starting NFL contract. It might be the best thing for his development as a player and for his finances. So in that regard, we're in a brave new world of college athletics and what it makes sense for guys to do or not to do. All right, what are the follow-ups here?
Do you think they can beat Oregon this week without Travis Hunter? And then also...
so hold on. Before get to, listen, they're 21-point dogs for a reason. I do think it's worth noting Colorado has played poorly or underachieved, if you will, in one game this year. That was the game they were a huge favorite. When they were a massive dog to TCU, they played great. When it was a pick-em against or a 2-point line against Nebraska, they rolled them. So I think being an underdog suits them. Oregon deserves to be favored. Oregon's at home. Oregon has the better roster. And Colorado is without its, other than Shedeur, its best player. Another number 1 kid in high school, Travis Hunter. With that said, Oregon's not great at all defensively. Now, could I see, these next 2 Colorado games could be games they score 35 points and lose. The Colorado USC game next week, or, in 10 days, that honestly could be 63-45. Like, I don't think Colorado could get one stop on USC. But I don't know, and I think USC could get a few on Colorado. So what I do think is that this is an opportunity for Shedeur to be on the same field as Bo Nix, a future NFL player, and Caleb Williams, a future superstar, and see how he measures up. All right, what's the next one?
Deion ranked his kids and said all parents secretly do this. Is this true?
What do you think?
I'm just kind of hoping that we're parenting to some standard. I don't want to put that on you. I don't think you do that. I don't think you guys do that.
Okay.
You have it. What's the hierarchy? Go ahead and give me the list right now. Let's do it.
So it's fluid.
It's
Listen,
fluid.
we love you all the same, but like right now, Deanna's in last place. It's just a pain in the ass.
She's the only one that's there.
Yeah, but maybe that's why. There was a period of like, if
there was
you'd
a period
asked
of
me
time
this
where I know that I was
Monday-
last. I mean, I know.
Well,
I
sure.
feel like I know
Everyone's
that
been
time
last.
period.
Everyone's been last at different times.
funny.
But there's like, if you'd asked me this Monday, Diora was number 1 with a bullet on Monday. I just dropped her off at college. I was so proud of her. All of these things. You owed me money. There's a lot of things going on. You ask me this right now, this moment. You were excellent on the pod Tuesday. Diora did not call me back yesterday when she promised she would. You're in first place. And, I mean, it just is what it is. Deanna, on the other hand, on Tuesday came home from school, had a little mini meltdown because she left her Chromebook at school, so she couldn't do her homework. She was panicked. I have to do better. I have to be more organized. I know I'm going to do better. Wednesday after school, has her Chromebook, is so proud. I say, okay, let's do the project we couldn't do Tuesday. Left the project at school. So last place.
What was that meltdown?
the-
Was that an even bigger meltdown, or?
I mean, if you're on YouTube, you can appreciate this. For the audio listeners, it's not a great, but it's just the like.
Yeah.
I know it's here. I know I checked. I know it's here. I put my folder in my backpack in my locker, but I didn't have it in the folder. Obviously, you had it in the folder, Deanna. Can you email my teacher and tell him it's not my fault? It is your fault. I'm not emailing your teacher. And so, and then if she had any grace with your mother this morning, she's getting ready for school. Deanna's 10th birthday is in 2 weeks. She's getting ready for school, and she's wearing some outfit your mother does not think is appropriate for the weather. And your mom says, no, you cannot wear that. You have to wear this. And Deanna looks your mom in her eye and says, okay, Mommy, but can we agree when I turn 10, you're going to let me pick out my own clothes? And guess how that went? Not great. So, yeah, last place. She can move back up the rankings, but yes, all parents love their kids the same, but as far as how they feel about them in any moments, they're ranked. Right now, it's oldest to youngest. Damonza, Diora, Deanna. Gambling show. Next, what's right? All right, welcome back in. What's Right with Nick Wright? And this episode of What's Right with Nick Wright is brought to you by the McDonald's app. How many times you've been in that situation where you've had a really long day, you're really hungry, last thing you want to do is cook a meal or leave your house or to go pick something up? I don't want to exaggerate, but I've been there hundreds of times. And my saving grace has been the McDelivery option in the McDonald's app. We're talking about getting McDonald's delivered right to your door, just like this. Earlier in the show, right when we were starting, thank you so much, Jake, I ordered the McDonald's breakfast, as I did last week. It's already here. It is helpful that the McDonald's is up the street, but this is perfect. I've got my hash brown. I've got my biscuit. It's all right here. And the McDonald's orange juice, I understand it's not like they make it. It's the Minute Maid orange juice, but it's delicious. And now, every time you order the McDelivery in the McDonald's app, it earns you points towards free food. Who doesn't like free food. So there's always a reason to order in the McDonald's app. Download the McDonald's app today. At participating McDonald's, delivery prices may be higher than at restaurants. Delivery and other fees may apply. Copyright 2023 McDonald's. All right, so we're back to the show, week 3 gambling show. So last week, at the top of the show when I was talking about the Survivor thing, what I was going to say was, I'm also in a picks pool with Phil Hellmuth got me in it, with a bunch of professional gamblers, poker players, other people. And it's last week, hand to God, in the picks pool, and this is so frustrating. I went 8-2. Those 2 losses were 2 of the 5 games that I picked for this show. And they were 2 of the 3 I picked on television. So last week, I picked 8 out of 10 winners. But on this show, 3 out of 5. And on TV, 1 out of 3. Which is maddening. Now, with that said, so we'll go through it. With that said, what I will admit is some of these were slightly fortunate winners. But it was a winning week. Tampa Bay minus 2.5 against Chicago. I don't want to say there was never a doubt there, but Tampa didn't even need the late pick 6 for that one. The Giants minus 6 against Arizona. There was a period where it looked like that was alive for a push when it looked like that game might go to overtime. Obviously, they won by a field goal. Cincinnati minus 3 against Baltimore was bad bet. Just terrible process, terrible job by me. The Rams plus 7.5 against the Niners. Sean McVay. That field goal at the end. Love you, buddy. That was a hell of a... That was pretty damn lucky, I'm not going to lie. And then the Steelers plus 2.5 against Cleveland. They won outright, and they were trailing in the fourth quarter and had negative fourth quarter yards and won anyway. We'll get to Damonza's winning teaser in just a moment, but I feel great about our picks this week. I like that we kind of steadied the ship with a winning week, 3-2. So that would be plus 0.8 units, which means on the year, I'm down. What am I down? I'm down a full unit. No, I'm down. Hold on. Yeah, I'm down half a unit on the year. So that's not bad. 5-5 because we got to do the VIG. All right, Damonza, what's my first bet?
Your first bet is the Giants plus 10.5 at San Francisco.
Yep, that's tonight. So I know Daniel Jones is 1-11 in his career in Thursday night games. Also, that's a lot of Thursday night games for Daniel Jones. That's like 2 a year. That's a crazy amount. But I don't need him to win outright. I need him to cover. And he's 19-8 against the spread on the road or in neutral sites in his career. And oddly, he's the most profitable quarterback in the last 4 years on short rest. Also, these Thursday night games are almost always sloppy, poorly played games. The last Thursday night game we saw, Eagles-Vikings, there were 5 fumbles in that game. If you're giving me double-digit points for any team with a pulse on a Thursday night, I'm going to take it. And I don't think this is the type of game San Francisco looks at like, oh, we're trying to, run up the score. San Francisco is looking at this as let's get out of here with a win. And then we have a mini bye leading into an actual bye. And by an actual bye, I mean a home game against the Cardinals before they play one of the biggest games of the year against Dallas on Sunday Night Football in Week 5. So I'm going to go ahead and plant my flag on this. I think Brock Purdy turns it over tonight. And I know the Giants have no Saquon, and I know they don't have their left tackle, but I think that they're going to be able to move the ball somewhat. And so I like the Giants to cover the 10.5 in this spot. Where do you stand? I know where you stand. You told me you liked the Niners to win by 2 scores because all of a sudden you're a big Brock Purdy guy. Just a big Brock Purdy guy. I'm not a huge Brock Purdy guy,
but the Giants don't look good. That was really funny what you said. Yeah, I think Brock Purdy will turn the ball over tonight. That's just crazy when that's those are the hopes. I think that he'll finally turn the ball over. That's just crazy. He just doesn't make enough mistakes. I just think that's a very cool thing that you're looking for him to make a pick. Patrick Mahomes has 2 on the season right now?
He has 2
but
on the season.
This isn't
That's
about
correct.
Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
I do love that guy. I think he's really good, but it's got something going on right
Patrick
now.
Mahomes?
But yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'll never deny his greatness. But yeah, San Francisco by 14.
I understand. Okay, all right, next.
You got Denver plus 6.5 at Miami.
Yeah, so Miami's defense has not been impressive to me this year. The Chargers hung 34 on them, and now the defense stepped up at the very end of that game and got the, up 2 in the waning moments and got a sack on Herbert, forced an intentional grounding and won the game. But over the bulk of that game, the defense wasn't great. I didn't think the defense looked great against Mac Jones. Letting Mac Jones, I don't want to say slice and dice them, but kind of dink and dunk them to a degree. This is a must-win game for Denver. Last week was, and they blew it. I don't know that they win, but I think they could win. And I think that this is a kitchen sink game for Denver. And I think they keep it close.
I get the point in there. It's at the point in their season they're in. There's a lot of doubts, but calling it a must-win when they're 6.5-point underdogs, it's just that's crazy.
I understand what you're saying. That you usually
they're in a tough spot, basically.
Correct, right? But at 0-3, they're done. Because here's the problem for the Broncos. The Broncos are at 0. If they lose this week, they're at 0-3. And yes, next week they have the Bears. But then here are their next 5. Home for the Jets. Sounds easy, except for the fact it's the Nat Hackett revenge game. And every Jet will be peak motivated for that spot. Then on a short week on Thursday at Kansas City. Then home for the Packers, who are good. Then against the Chiefs again. Then their bye week. And then at Buffalo. So if you fall to 0-3 and you have 2 games against Kansas City and against the Bills in your next 6, plus Packers, Jets, Bears, your best case scenario. Best case is that you're 3-6 through 9. They have to win this week if they want to have. Sean Payton said, I'm going to be pissed if we don't make the playoffs. Playoff hope's dead if they lose this week. And so here are some numbers for you. Russ is 14-4-1 against the spread on a 2-game losing streak. I don't really actually care that much about that because he's a different player now. Sean Payton, as an underdog, only Mike Tomlin better amongst active coaches. 50, 30, and 2 against the spread. Sharps are with me on this, not surprisingly. Miami has been the second best team against the spread since Tua got there. I think that sounds impressive, but I think that is flipping in this regard. The reason Miami been so good against the spread early on in Tua's time is because nobody believed in Tua. Mm-hmm. Now seemingly everyone believes in Tua, and it's reflected in this point spread. So it is to me. Tua had been a guy who printed against the spread, but now people believe in Miami, and so. I like Denver in this spot, plus 6.5. I think they absolutely could win outright. Next.
All right, you got New England minus 2.5 at the Jets.
Yeah, so the Patriots have won 14 consecutive games against the Jets. 14 consecutive games against the Jets. Zach Wilson, who's been bad against everyone, the worst opponent the opponent that has given him the most fits is the Patriots. He has a passer rating of 50 and a completion percentage of 50 against New England. Mac is, listen, all these stats are going to talk about the Patriots owning the Jets. Now, they have not covered the spread the last few years against the Jets, but we're now talking about a spread of less than a field goal. So the Patriots have won without covering. That's very hard to do as a 2.5-point favorite. Now, could it be a 17-16 game? I suppose. I think more likely is a 17-10 game. And now this, would you agree, Damonza, is an absolute must-win for the Patriots.
Yeah.
If they want to have any hope of making the postseason, they have to win. And so the Jets, they've beaten the Jets 14 straight times.
Suck.
I think that continues. Oh, yeah, of
Wait.
course. Of course it is.
It'd be a really bad
it'll
football
be miserable. It's going to be a terrible football game, but I like the Patriots a lot there. All right, next.
All right, you got Jacksonville -8.5 versus Houston.
All right, and also just so our producers know, all of a sudden the last couple questions, Damonza's mic has sounded super echoey. If it's just in my ear, don't worry about it. It's not because of you, Damonza. But if it's for the listeners or the YouTube or the podcast audience, see if we can fix it. If it's just my ear, it's not a problem. All right, every single note the producers gave me on this is bad for Jacksonville. 5th worst against the spread under Trevor Lawrence. Peterson, 24-30 against the spread as a favorite. Week 3 road dogs cover 63% of the time the last few years. Houston's the sharpest play of the week with 43% of the bets and 84% of the money. So why am I picking them? Here's why. Right now, people are late to this party. The Chiefs have a great defense. And that is affecting how they feel about the Jags. The Jags were supposed to be carried by their offense, but we just saw a game where they couldn't score a touchdown against what people think is a mediocre defense. It's not a mediocre defense. It's a great defense. And because of that, people are doubting the Jags' ability to go beat a Texans team by 2 scores. They are at home. They also, I hate to sound cliche, this isn't a must-win, but it's must-win adjacent if you're Jacksonville. Your home game against the Texans is a game you've got to have if you're going to be, not only win the division, but potentially be, a top 2 seed in the AFC. Trevor absolutely will bounce back. The Texans have injuries on their offensive line and in their secondary. C.J. Stroud was excellent last week, threw for 380 yards. I expect, he's a rookie quarterback. I expect that to go up and down. I think this is something along the lines of 27-10, 34-17. This is a game, I don't do these bets, but I might this week. An alternate line for the Jags, like the Jags -16.5, might be a play that I make for this game. The Jags -8.5, I love it. Last one.
You got Pittsburgh +2.5 at the Raiders.
All right, I'm just going to keep writing Pittsburgh until the general public catches up. Now, week 1, they obviously got rolled. That's fine. But if you're going to continue to give me Mike Tomlin catching points against poorly coached teams with quarterbacks I don't trust, I'm going to do it. Now, week 1, it's not a poorly coached team. It was a quarterback I didn't trust, and they got annihilated. So be it. Week 2, the Browns, Stefanski and Deshaun, you gave me points with Pittsburgh. I took it. And now I get Josh McDaniel and Jimmy G. Of course I'm going to take it. I'm going to add something to it. I don't think Pittsburgh's offense is good. There's no argument to make that it's good. However, they did go up against 2 excellent defenses. The Niners have a great defense. The Browns have a very, very good defense. Against the Raiders, it's going to be the first time all year it feels like that they're not up against an excellent defensive unit. The Raiders' second best defensive player is on leave from the team as he's dealing with things. The Raiders let the Bills roll all over them last week. I'm catching points. And yeah, listen, Tomlin's the most profitable coach in the NFL as a dog. Pickett's 5-0 against the spread in night games. I don't really care about that, but it's noteworthy. And so I understand that Jimmy Garoppolo has a bunch of great covering stats. Those are not Jimmy Garoppolo stats. Those are San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan stats. Just like Purdy's got all those stats right now, too. Those are not Brock Purdy stats. Those are San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan stats. So I like Pittsburgh, and I like Pittsburgh to win outright. Next. Oh, whoa. We'll do a recap. That's all the picks. So I've got the Giants catching 10.5 tonight against San Francisco. Denver catching 6.5 at Miami. The Patriots laying 2.5 at the Jets. Jags laying 8.5 at home against Houston. And Pittsburgh plus 2.5 at the Raiders. We have 4 road teams. I'm all right with it. 3 dogs, 2 favorites. Only 1 big favorite. All right. Damonza, your teaser last week. It was a 7-point, 3-team teaser, plus 120. Take us through it, my man.
All right, first we had the Rams plus 14.5 versus San Francisco. That cleared pretty well.
That really was never in doubt. There was a point in the second half they were down 14, and they ended up, obviously, they got the field goal. But this was a good example, Damonza, of those half points and key numbers potentially mattering. It didn't in this specific case, but it could have. That was a great pick. Go ahead, next.
Baltimore plus 10 at Cincinnati. I think there was almost never a doubt with this one either.
That was never a doubt. No question about it. And then the last one.
And then we got Jacksonville plus 10.5 versus Kansas City. That one was the one that I was the most on the edge of my seat for. Kind of came down to the very last minute.
But you were covering the entire game.
Yes.
What's frustrating is had you lost that one, it would have been a bad beat because you were covering the entire game, and then you almost lost by 11. The Chiefs had the ball
couldn't get it done on
late.
offense at the end of the game. Right.
Yep. All right. So let's hear your one for this week.
All right. So this week's teaser, 1-1 now. Let's try to halt up to 2-1. We got a 3-team 7-point teaser. We got a couple teams from last week's teaser in there. We were teasing the Ravens from minus 1.5 to
minus 8.5.
From minus 8.5 to 1.5. Sorry, Daniel. And then Chargers to plus 6 to minus 1. I mean minus 1 to plus 6. And then Jags to minus 8.5 to minus 1.5. I know there's some things in there that are going to flag, but I trust my process with these.
So I'm not going to flag too much of this, actually. So here's the thing. What I am going to encourage you on is to consider, Damonza, making this a 6-point teaser. So here's why I'm saying it. The Ravens, instead of being plus 120, you can get plus 140. And you still tease the Jags and the Ravens to under 3. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, they both beat 2.5.
Right now you have the Ravens minus 1.5 and the Jags minus 1.5. You can get them both just minus 2.5. Now the Chargers one, instead of getting plus 6, you would only be getting plus 5. Yeah, and so it's I'm not really going to I give this teaser an A-. Yes, you're correct. I don't love teasing across the 0. And if one of these things screws you, I think it would be the Chargers. That would, just because the Chargers are not a trustworthy team and the Vikings have shown the ability to score points. But you know what? I actually take back my own advice because the plus 6 with the Chargers could be valuable because they are such a cursed team. You absolutely could see them losing in overtime again on a Justin Jefferson touchdown. And you know what I mean? All of a sudden it's 6 in overtime, and then at least you get a push there. This is not a bad one. A-.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I just still trust the Chargers more than I trust the Vikings. I think that they have the better quarterback, the better defense. They've also, you said that the Vikings have shown the ability to put points on the board, but so have the Chargers. It's like I think I just trust the Chargers to beat the Vikings in this game, but we'll see. I mean, obviously, I'm getting 6, so I don't think they're going to blow them out.
So listen, I think this is a pretty solid teaser. I made a teaser in real life that I didn't want to tell you about until right now.
Let's hear it.
So This is not a sharp bet. I'm saying that on the front end. It is a 4-team 10-point teaser. So 4-team 10-point, those pay dead even money. Also on those, and this is important, pushes lose. You push one leg of it, you lose the bet. Okay? So yours, a push just reduces it from a 3-teamer to a 2-teamer. But this is a vintage, and for me, I'm not worried about the fact that pushes lose because all of these bets end on a half point, so it's impossible for it to push. You know what I mean? Like, none of my legs actually, it can push. But here is the 4-team 10-point teaser. I am teasing the Chiefs and the Cowboys, both of them, down to -2.5 from 12.5-point favorites. I am teasing the Jags from, they were when I made it, -9.5 down to +0.5 point, meaning the Jags just to win. And I am teasing the Patriots up to +7.5. So it's a 4-team 10-point teaser where the Patriots have to win or lose by a touchdown or less. The Jags have to win outright or I guess tie. If they were to go to overtime and tie, the +0.5 point gets me a victory there. And then the Chiefs and the Cowboys both have to win by at least a field goal. That's a 4-team 10-point even money teaser. That is my second teaser of the year. I placed one in week 1. That was a disaster. Let me look at what it was. Hold on, let me click my settled bets. Oh, when I click settled bets, I see that 21K winner. Pay me. The 6-point teaser I did in week 1 was I teased the Commanders to -1 against the Cardinals. That was a winner. The Packers to +7.5 against the Bears. That was a winner. They won outright. And the Steelers to +8.5 against the fighting Brock Purdy's. They lost by 1,000 points.
Is this,
and
is
so
this Nick's picks or Damonza's teasers? I'm confused why we're giving teasers.
Okay. Oh, you know what? That's a good point. All right, let's go. Let's head to the casino. Go ahead.
All right, we're headed back to the casino this week with the offer. We're going to first off, let's take a look at how we did last week on the slot machine.
This is pretty great.
I think we're going to put up a graphic here. There we are.
All right, a money line NFC East parlay. The Giants to beat the Cardinals and the Cowboys to beat the Jets. So it's the Bills -2.5 against the Raiders, the Chiefs -2.5 against the Jags, and Washington to beat the Broncos outright. It's +460. Anthony Richardson running it in. 9-1 first touchdown scorer props. Let's go ahead and do that. We don't even need to worry about anything else. How about that? That was off the dome. Went 3-0. And that Anthony Richardson one was pretty great. What are you laughing about?
That was very solid. Your off the dome reference was.
Well, I'm saying I didn't prep it, and I said last week I was like maybe I should have. No, I know you know what it means, but I said last week that maybe I should have prepped for that, but I had such success that I'm going to do it blind again this week. So we're going to go to the slot machine. You tell me the type of the bet, and then I'll see if I can figure it out. All right? Let's do it.
All
Let's hit
righty.
the slot machine.
Slot machine.
We got offer. It's not your. We got to wait. The graphics got to roll. There we go.
Yeah,
slot machine. All right, pull the lever. Bang. What do we have here, Damonza?
We got a prop bet for the AFC West and a double unit bet. You got to bet more money than you would usually bet. Sorry.
Well, that I don't know that I agree to that idea. Prop bet, you're forcing me to bet multiple units, but fine. I'll play along. So my possible options are for an AFC West prop bet is, hold on. I've got a great one. A Steelers-Raiders prop bet? Hold on a second here. Tell me there's a Jimmy G, will he throw an interception prop bet? There's got to be. Because then I can, hold on. Where are some Jimmy G? I'm going to find it real quick. I don't want quick bets. I don't want first quarter. This is why I said I should have prepped these so people don't have to listen to this stuff. But I can't believe I can't find a Jimmy G, will he throw an interception? There should just be All right, then we're off that one. So if we're not doing Raiders Steelers, a Chiefs Bears prop. Oh, and it's a 2-unit one?
Chiefs Bears prop. Yo, you bet for Justin Fields to run for more than 60 yards.
No, I'm not going to do that. I don't know if you've heard me say this. The Chiefs have a great defense. Jimmy G interception is minus 125, I'm told. All right, I'm not taking that anymore. I don't want to lay negative money. I am going to bet. Oh, you know what? A 2-unit prop bet. I'm going to, and Daniel, you can tell me the odds on it. I'm going to bet Isaiah Pacheco anytime touchdown score. That's the bet. Isaiah Pacheco hasn't scored a touchdown yet this year. He's going to get in against the Bears. Isaiah Pacheco, anytime touchdown scorer. That is, and we can fill in the audience on what the odds are on it. That's my 2-unit AFC West prop bet. Next, well, let's go back to the slot machine. Let me pull that lever.
Slot machine.
Yeah, back to the slot machine. Sorry, I'm throwing a lot of things at the producers. All right, I'm pulling the lever. Bing. All right, what are we doing here, Damonza?
Against the spread, NFC South, and a dog.
All right, so my options there are Atlanta +3, New Orleans +2, Carolina +6, and Tampa +4.5. I am going to go. Now, I'm missing a point of line value because this was 5.5. But the Eagles don't blow people out on the road, and that Eagles pass defense can get got, and Baker's been playing great. Tampa +4.5 is my against the spread NFC South dog. I thought about the Falcons, and the Falcons are an interesting one, but they're at Detroit, and they're only catching 3.5. And if it becomes a shootout, Ritter cannot hang in a shootout. Bijan's been unbelievable as expected. I don't believe the Saints are going to beat the Packers, and I'm not laying points. I'm not betting on the Panthers in Seattle. So yeah, so I like Tampa +4.5. I liked it more at 5.5 against Philly on Monday night. All right, last one. Back to the slot machine.
Back to the machine.
Let's go ahead and pull that lever.
Let's do it.
Let's see.
All right. So we got money line, AFC North, and a parlay.
Okay, well, half that's easy because we're obviously going to take the Steelers to win outright at the Raiders. My other NFC North teams that I could take, the Ravens outright against the Colts. No, I'm not doing it. I'm just not because I don't think they beat the Colts, but it's just dumb to involve myself in
Pittsburgh,
that before
right?
we know. But no, I already said I'm doing Pittsburgh, but I'm not doing the Ravens Colts until we know who their quarterback is for the Colts. Same thing with Cincinnati. I'm not doing that until we know who their quarterback is. So then the obvious answer is fading the Browns. So there we go. Vrabel, believing in Vrabel. Of Vrabel +156 and the Titans and the Steelers +126. That pays +480. So there's my AFC North parlay. If we go 3-0 on these again, this might just become the total format of the gambling show. I might throw out all my prep, all my hard work, and just try to just instant reaction, find the bets without prepping them at all. Quick break, right back. Answer your listener and viewer questions next. What's right? Hey guys, welcome back in, and let me talk to you about Airbnb for a moment. I love and use Airbnb all the time. I've told you about this. Whenever I go on a family vacation, we've got the kids. Sometimes we have extended family with us. I always find a house that we love and rent it on Airbnb. Maybe you also have stayed in an Airbnb and thought, this seems pretty doable. Maybe my place could be an Airbnb. It really could be as simple as starting with a spare room or your whole place when you're away. Either way, you could be sitting on an Airbnb and not even know it. Maybe you're planning a long weekend with friends or family this fall. While you're away, you could Airbnb your place and make some extra money to help pay for the trip. Or, and this is really relevant to a lot of you guys watching and listening to this, there's a big game in town. Particularly if you live around a big-time college football program, maybe you really want to go. Tickets are more expensive than you want them to be. Well, you could pay for the tickets by renting out a room of your home or half your home or the whole thing for some of the people traveling in for the game, and then you could go to the game yourself. Whether you could use extra money to cover some bills or for something a little more fun, your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. All right, before we get to the viewer questions, we do this live from Trintage, obviously, Harlem's favorite women's boutique. And the owner of Trintage, my wife, Damonza's mother, Danielle, just walked in. And Dampu, you don't have to come on camera if you don't want to, but we were discussing earlier that you had quite the hot Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce take. Is that ready for prime time yet, or do you want to continue to, kind of think it over? She doesn't want to talk about it. Okay, all right. I was just, you should have seen Damonza's face. Yeah, he does already know. I asked Damonza live on the air, I was like, what do you think your mom thinks of the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift thing? And this is what he goes. Oh, she hates it. I mean, maybe she loves it. I'm like, no, she hates it. He's like, okay, I thought so, but I just didn't know if I was supposed to say that. Yeah, he knows you quite well. All right, Damonza, what are our questions?
All right, first off, we got Machete Gun asks, Nick, the Giants have burned you twice this year. Do you think the Giants are the new Jags for this year's gambling picks? Oh, wow.
Well, you would have thought that, but yeah, they burned me a couple times when they came through on that single game or on that live bet. The Giants were half of that huge win, 40-1. So maybe yes, maybe no. And I'm not gonna get shamed out of betting them the way you guys tried to shame me out of betting the Jags. Cost me all that money last year. Oh, that also, you know what I realized? That also happened with the Jags last year. The Jags were the other side of the huge same-game parlay I made with the Chiefs. The one where Travis Kelce's final yard won me that bet. All right, next.
Mitchell B said, hey, Nick, love the show. We got to know if Dior claimed her cash yet. Way to make her fight for her right to party. Go Chiefs.
No, she has not. She has not watched the show. She also has not called me back. So that's on her. She has not claimed her cash, and she has not called me back.
I talked to her yesterday.
Wait. Oh, you did?
But I called her. She didn't call me, so don't feel like I'm left out or anything.
Yeah, she's been having quite the time at college already. All right, next.
Understandable. All right, so we got Derek Deckard asks, question. Where do you see the Cowboys' first loss? In a follow-up, is it worth betting on them for being the last undefeated team?
I would have to know the odds on them being the last undefeated team. I mean, here's the fact of the matter is they're going to be underdogs in Week 5 at San Francisco. It doesn't mean they can't win that game, but they will be underdogs, probably 2.5-point underdogs to the Niners. If they win that Niners game, I mean, you're probably looking at November until at the Eagles could catch them. They play at the Bills in December. I don't think they're going to, spit the bit against the Cardinals or the Patriots. But
they're 350. They're 350 at being last undefeated, plus 350.
Oh, plus 350? Those are usually bad bets. There's usually not good value on those. Oh, okay, so I'm looking at it right now. The Eagles and Niners are both plus 3. Okay, so on FanDuel, the Eagles and Niners are both plus 320 to be last undefeated. Cowboys plus 430. Now that is Ravens plus 600, Miami plus 850, New Orleans 10-1, Atlanta 12-1, Tampa 14-1, Washington 27-1. That is a good little gambling lesson right there. On these type of exotic bets, you really should shop lines. Like, let's say you really like the Cowboys, we bet the last undefeated. They're plus 350 in one shop. They're plus 430 on FanDuel. So if you're going to take kind of a weird bet that's not just like a regular game spread, make sure you're getting the best line. All right, last one.
All right, Brock Purdy's agent, Christian Lazo, asked, Nick, is there anything Brock can do tonight to impress you that you wouldn't attribute solely to Shanahan's system?
Yeah, make some high-level throws. Here's what I just ask of people. I ask of people to watch the Niners tonight. And every time Brock Purdy throws the ball, ask yourself the following question. Okay?
Could I do that?
Chart. No. Chart how many throws you say, oh, he missed that. That was a bad throw or an overthrow. And chart how many times you say, man, that was a great throw. Because in this game against the Rams, how many times he missed open guys, the answer is 5. And how many times you're like, holy shit, that was a hell of a throw, is 0. That's just what it was. Now, week 1, he had 2, holy moly, those were great throws. And I think he only missed a wide open guy once. So week 1, he played quite well. Week 2, he did not. Watch tonight and see how many times, how many of his completions are, well, there's Brandon Ayuk with no one within 12 yards of him, and he just completed the layup. And how many times you're like, wow, that's a great throw. And how many times is it like, oh, man, Debo has the guy beat. He's open. Oh, that's 6 yards over his head. That's all I'm asking. I got nothing against Brock Purdy personally. And everyone I know, they're like, oh, well, Nick, Iowa State was pretty damn good with him, and since he's left, they haven't been. Yeah, I understand that. Breece Hall was there. Had a little something to do with that. Breece Hall, pretty good player. Seen in the NFL, is pretty good. And they're in the same draft, and even though quarterback's the most valuable position, running back's the least valuable position, and they were on the same college team, NFL evaluators said, Breece Hall, you're worth a high second-round pick, and Brock Purdy, you're worth the last pick of the draft. I'm just saying. So we'll see. Let's watch tonight. I might be a Giants fan, second week in a row. Who'd have ever thought that would happen? Damonza, you were excellent today. You stay atop the right child rankings. I'm just telling you, you just do. And Danielle, right now, if you had to power rank the kids, not in order of love, but in order of like, rank 1 through 3, how would you do it?
Oof, this isn't great for Damonza.
She said Damonza's definitely number 1. Won't talk about the other 2. You know what that means? She's not as mean as me. Deanna's definitely in last place after this morning. Give me a break. She agrees. Yeah, we have them the same. Damonza, Dior, Deanna. We'll talk to you guys on Tuesday. What's right? Hey, it's Nick Wright. Thank you so much for watching. Please do us a favor. Click subscribe. It helps my ego, and Damonza's got a financial bonus writing on a number of YouTube subscribers, so help him out. And also, click the bell. I don't know what the bell does, but they tell me to tell you to click the bell. And if you're audio listeners, people that have commutes, drives, whatever it is, subscribe to the podcast as well, wherever you get the podcast. Same show, just in your ears instead of through your eyes. All that. Check it out. Appreciate y'all.